Okay, at first I was thinking about inserting Randall Booth in here, but decided against that. So, in a desire for you to be encouraged about your progress or not so much progress in reading out loud the text in Koine Era pronunciation, I thought that I would make you listen to me read through these. And so I'm going to do the very best I can. Here we go. This is John 19:38. Meta de tafta erotesen ton Pilaton Yosef o apo Arimatheas on mathetes tu Jesu ke krumenos de dia ton fovon ton Iudeon ina are to soma tu Jesu ke epetrepsen o Pilatos elten un ke eren to soma aftu. Now, one of the first things I want to bring out to your attention is that this article after the name Yosef is in brackets. If you paid attention to the Westcott and Hort reading of this text, it was not included in there. And so let's see what else we can do as we talk about this. We've got a nice little first there's verb, erotao. It means ask or request. And so we'll begin with this understanding. After these things, he requested Pilate. And so the subject of this, the he, is Yosef, the one from Arimathea, requested Pilate. And then here we have a phrase that will be in apposition to Joseph of Arimathea, because it says, Joseph, being a disciple of Jesus, hidden. Notice we've got a de after the hidden. So it would be kind of like being a disciple of Jesus, but hidden. Why? On account of fear of the Jews. So that he might take the body of Jesus. The subject of the next little thing is o Pilatos. We've got epetrepsen. This is the verb epitrepo, which means allow or permit. And so we've got, and Pilate allowed it. Therefore, he came, or he went, and he took his body. John 19:39. Elten de ke Nicodemos, o elthon pros afton nyktos, to proton, feron migma smyrnes ke aloes, os litras ekaton. One of the first things that we want to see here is that the subject of this is Nicodemos, and so we're not surprised to see that Nicodemos came. Also, we'll recognize that Nicodemos came bearing a migma. The migma is a migma of myrrh and of aloes, and it was about 100 pounds. Now, if you listen to Randall Booth's recording of this, you will notice that there's a textual variant in the Westcott and Hort text. The word is eligma. There you can see the entry for BDAG for the word eligma. And notice just a little bit right here before I comment anything else. Hopefully, notice it says aligma atos to, and it comes from this word elix, which means spiral. And so maybe you can see that word helix there. Hopefully, I'm not sure. As Garrett commented just the other day, though, we will note once again that when we saw this, we see that this eligma is a variant reading, certainly erroneous for migma. And I believe Garrett commented, well, that's pretty bold for BDAG to state that. Another thing I want to draw to your attention is that the subject of this whole thing is Nicodemus. Nicodemus came, and so this phrase is in apposition to Nicodemus. It's telling us about him. Nicodemus was the one coming to him of night. Actually, we might refer to this as a genitive of time. And then this phrase, to proton, would be first or earlier. And so Nicodemus came, the one who went to him by night, earlier, bearing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds. Now, there is one more thing that I might want to address. Roger Omanson did a textual guide to the Greek New Testament. I see that I misspelled the title of that. Guide is spelled Guide. I'm aware of that, but I just made a mistake as I typed that in. I'm sorry. And so Omanson's book is kind of a revision of Bruce Metzger's textual commentary. And so for this verse, he's going to show that the UBS and NA text choose the word migma. And he says the reading eligma is the more difficult reading, since the word normally means a fold or a wrapping and not a roll or package, which would be required here. But the word migma is supported by early and diverse witnesses and is therefore probably original. Verse 40. Elabon un to soma tu Jesu, ke edesan αυτό οθονίους μετά των αρωμάτων, καθώς έθος εστίν της Ιουδαίους ενταφιάζειν. Okay, now there's something interesting here. This verb is elavon. Now, you know that we're talking about Joseph, verse 38. We've talked about Nicodemus, verse 39. Now, Joseph was the one who requested the body of Jesus from Pilate, and Pilate allowed it. And so we might expect to see a third-person singular verb there, but elavon can be first-person singular or third-person plural. And so that leads us to the understanding that the subject of this most likely is Joseph. Notice verse 38, and Nicodemus, who is mentioned in verse 39. Might be easy just to gloss over that and not even pay attention to that. So they took, therefore, what do they take? The body of Jesus, and they bound it. Now, one of the things that we might want to comment here is they bound it. This is neuter because it looks back to tosoma, which is neuter. So they bound it with linens and also with spices. I'm not sure if you can see this, but we might even go with aromatic spices. Can you see that form there? And then we continue. It is a custom, just as it is a custom for the Jews to bury. Verse 41. Ende entotopo opu estavrothe kepos, ke ento kepo mnemion kenon en o udepo udis en tethimenos. Okay, first off, we'll know that there was. I'm going to suggest to you that this verb ein is what we've called an expletive use of the verb imi, not he, she, or it was, but there was. There was where? In the place where he was crucified. Now we'll just comment that estavrothe is what we would call just a typical aorist, if I could spell aorist, passive indicative, third person singular. There was, in the place where he was crucified, well, what was there? There was a kepos. Now, snarkiness comes out, and so one of the things that we will notice is that in John 18:1 and in John 18, can you spell 18? 1:8, 26, the NIV version 84 translates that word kepos as olive grove. We've talked about this before. The word kepos means garden. There's nothing having to do with olives there. Now, in John 18, when it's referring to the garden, it was the Garden of Gethsemane, which was an olive grove. I'm thankful that the NIV 2011 fixed that and just calls it a garden. In the place where he was crucified, there was a garden, okay, and in the garden, we'll understand there was something else. There was a new tomb, something about that new tomb, in which nobody was placed. Okay, now, there's one more thing I want to say about the periphrastic participle. The last two words form a periphrastic participle, and so as you can see, I have inserted a chart from the chapter on participles in KMP, and so the periphrastic participle that is made up of an imperfect form of imi and a perfect participle forms a pluperfect. And so in reality, what this is going to say is, now there was in the place where he was crucified a garden, and in the garden, understood, there was a new tomb in which not yet, udepo, nobody had been placed. That renders the periphrastic participle with the sense of a pluperfect finite tense equivalent. Verse 42, Ekiun diaten pareskeven ton yedeon, oti engus en to mnion, ethekan ton yesun. So one of the things that we'll notice there is eki, which means there. Looking back to the previous verse and the context, it was in that garden where there was a tomb where not yet anyone had been laid. So there's our so or therefore there, on account of the preparation of the Jews, they needed to get the bodies off of the cross and get them disposed of or buried or whatever before the Sabbath would occur. So there, because it was near, probably we're going to look at this as the subject of the verb ein, because the tomb was near. What do? They placed Jesus. The earlier verse had said a new tomb, in which not yet nobody had been placed. And so the fulfillment of that is Jesus was the one that ultimately was placed there. Okay, guys, well, that's pretty much it. I want to thank you for allowing me to create a video for today's class material in lieu of meeting today. As the OCC faculty representative of the athletic department, part of my responsibilities are to attend our conference meetings. Otherwise, I would certainly be in class today. I kind of like hanging out with you guys. It was also kind of fun exploring the use of this technology. Not very good at it, but I think it's capable of creating some fun stuff. On Wednesday in class, we will have the vocab quiz over words in chapter 12, 40 words, and we'll go over John 21 to 10. As we said on Friday, there will be no class on April 15th. So the week of April 11th to 15th, we only have one class session that week. And so hope you take advantage of your time, and I will look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Blessings.